Okay, so this session we are going to start user experience design, the next subject of your semester 4. And within two parts of the workshops, we are going to be covered the entire subject. So within this workshop 1, I'm going to cover uh, first 4 lessons of our syllabus. So we'll just quickly look at what is the syllabus that we have to cover. So there are 8 lessons. So these are the lessons that you have to cover. Right. We are going to cover first 4 lessons within this session. Right. So the first lesson is Introduction to Interaction Design and User Experience. So here we are giving some kind of introduction, some definitions of those things. So we look first of all human-computer interaction. So this is really interesting subject. So human-computer interaction. Human means we, right? End user, member of an organization, business partner, anyone who we can consider as a human, and computer maybe any kind of hardware or software. And we are interested about how these computers and humans are going to be communicate each other, interacting each other is called HCI, or the human computer interaction, right? User to machine and machine to user, how that communication happens. So if we get a formal definition, we can say HCI is a discipline concerned with design, evaluation, implementation, and the interactive of computer systems for human use with the study of major phenomena surrounding them. So this is a formal definition. So there we have to understand how this communication happens between the human and the computer. So what are the goals of HCI? One is create usable software. It means it should be very usable, having good usability interface for the software, and enhance the usability of existing products. If there is existing product, that already developed product, and if we try to access it more easy manner, how that can achieve, and identify problems and tasks such as in the workplace maybe. So in order to address those problems is also one of the goal of HCI. Right. When we talk about modern day HCI, we can see there are 3 paradigms. So first one is the we are going to talk about the modern day HCI paradigms, right? The first paradigm is man-machine coupling. So, according to the first paradigm, our goal is to optimize the fit between technology and man to minimize human error. So that is actually the this paradigm one is from industrial revolution to the Second World War. So that time period, that HCI designers and those people try to just to fit with the machine or the fit with the technology in order to their goal was what is the only sole goal to minimize human errors. We must fit to the technology. In that sense, if we talk about paradigm 1, when it comes to paradigm 2, more modern day, so sorry, this in paradigm 1, the question is how can fix problems arise in the interactions? Only we are focusing about this in the paradigm 1. How can we minimize the problems when arise in when we are going to interacting with computers? Then the paradigm 2 is comes in the era from 1960 to 1980, like that. The next stage of the HCI. So here the goal was bridge the gap between machine processor and the human processor. Human processor means actually our brain and the machine to match, bridge the gap. So in the first paradigm, we just focus about how to do some task without errors, only that. But here, not just only fit, but to minimize the gap also. It should be very familiar technology to us. So this is the paradigm 2, and in paradigm 2, these kind of questions that we are going to focus, like what mismatches come up communication between computer and people. Sometimes if we not fit, if we feel a gap between that, what mismatches us, right? And how can we accurately model what people do? How can we improve the efficiency of the computer use? These questions focus in the paradigm 2. When it comes to paradigm 3, then we embrace the complexity of the interactions, and we are just interacting with like it. There is no gap at all like that. Even today, nowadays, we can feel. Do you feel any gap between your mobile phone no, with you? No. Actually, it was just like embedded to our life. It means it is just a part of our life. So in that sense, where is a social, very it is that user is really experienced with that. So it is comes from 1990 to 2010. Until that range, we are focusing on the about the paradigm 3, right? So these are the questions. It means how do you how do you use that technology appropriately, how that interaction support us. So those things are the questions that we are focusing in the paradigm 3, right? So if we talk about more about the evolution of the HCI, the interface, so this is a little bit history about how it comes in his in 50s, like in 1950s, around that there are switch panels. After that, it comes to some programming languages like COBOL, Fortran to develop HCI. After that, in 70s, 90s, it comes command languages. In 80s, it arrives GUI, multimedia technology, and after onwards, network systems, groupware was introduced, and after that interfaces become very like Bluetooth technology, mobile devices. The thing that you are experiencing today comes after those things, right? The next we are going to talk about a term called user experience design. It is abbreviated as UXD, not UED, but UXD, user experience design. So user experience means how end user interact with those uh, devices. So that is the main focusing or the concentrating about user experience design. So we have to focus on how that users understand something, what they really need, what they value. So those things we have to consider. And don't confuse with these two terms. User experience design is one term, and also user interface design is another term. So if we talk about these two things together, so user interface, UI, means what you see on the screen, like buttons, actions, dialogues boxes, screens, widgets, windows, those things. And user experience design means before we are doing actual user interface design, we have to learn about user experience design to understand how user perform actions, how they interact with those screens, what they expect really. So those things are comes under the user experience, right? So if we talk about more about UI and UX, UI means human centered approach, the design about the artifact. Actually, what you see is UI, but UX is what you cannot see, but that is the base of UI. Hope you understand even with this diagram. Right. So if you better understand user, if you better do user experience design, then of course your user interface will be very good. Right. So these are the some examples and the comparison between UI and UX. Right. So when we comes to UX design, UX engineer, not the UI engineer, right? UX designer or the UX engineer is always think about why this action performed by the user. It means what motivates this user, why this user doing something, what is the purpose of doing something, the functionality and features, and how that user interact with that. So that is the thinking procedure of the UX designer. Why, what, how, like that. So always the user must have some reason to do that, and what is the action performed and how that action performed. Right. So when it comes to designing the UI, we have to consider about some of the design principles like visibility, feedback, constraints, consistency, and affordance. right? So these terms are normal terms. Visibility, how it looks like. Feedback, so we need some feedbacks from the users who are using it. Constraint, it means there are some rules that we have to adhere. We can't design as our wish, but there are some constraints, rules, procedures to do that. And consistency, there should maintain some consistency that one user interface of the same app cannot be entirely different from the next user interface, right? So there must be some continuous, consistent manner. And affordance, this design-ins must be affordable and can be used, and also affordable is called affordance. Right. So when we are doing designing user interfaces, we first the first task is we have to understand users. When we are understanding users, we must be aware about each user is different from uh, many characteristics. And also you have to think about privacy, security issues, because if you are going to understand the user, you have to gather some information, right, about their privacy information maybe. Then you must you must focus about this area: privacy, security issues, and education and computer literacy. So when you are developing app, so that app is used by different level of the users who have different education level. So and the computer literacy also may be different. So business needs, you have to consider gender differences. Even with the gender differences, the preferences must be changed, right? So you have to think about those things also. And age differences, then with age differences also, the user how interact with that will be different. Personal individual needs, cultural differences also affected, human diversity. So those things are the basic things that we have to focus about the users. Right. And another term, multicultural interaction. Multicultural interactions means we can see there are not just a one culture, even in Sri Lanka, even it is that is just only one country, there are multicultural people, right? So maybe according to the background, according to the way they use, right? So everything is changes, and the colors they like, and maybe the fashions they are doing. So all of those users must be touched from the your product. So you have to consider about multicultural interaction. So even the languages are different. So if we take the common example like American English and British English, the wordings are changed. The also sometimes pronunciation even change, and not only that, the spellings when we take color, right? So that is complete different terms will be there with the spelling COLOR in American English, but in the British English, it will COLOUR. So like that, there are differences even in the languages. So you have to consider those things. And accommodating human diversity. So diversity means abilities are different. So visual abilities are different, and some users are not visually able. It means visually disabled peoples are there, auditory disabled peoples are there, motor disability peoples are there, and cognitive disabled peoples are there. Cognitive means the way they are understanding something, right? So someone cannot understand, and someone cannot get into brain, cannot understand those things like that. There are some disabled people like that even. So if you are using some kind of technology or some app, you have to consider also about the disabled people as well. So when we take about disabled, we feel like that cannot perform any task like that. But even among us, there are some disabilities, some ability are differences. So for example, color blindness. So normally we are not saying that people are disabled, but there are some people uh, having some maybe some color blindness. Sometimes they cannot recognize the difference between whether green or blue. Even sometimes say they are that is green, and some of the people say no, that is not blue, that is green, that is green, that is not blue, like that. There are some contradiction places even to us even, right? So type of color blindness can be divided into three. So protonopia, deutonopia, and tritonopia. So L cone, M cone, and S cone. L cone means red weak people. They can't identify red at once. And green weak people are M corn. S corn means yellow or the blue weak people. So these are the types of color blindness. However, about 8% of men and 0.5% of women have color blindness of some type. Maybe any of the color they are not able to get it right. And so, also about accommodating human diversity, there are some special browsers. So, we are aware about Google, Chrome, Mozilla, Firefox, only that. But there are some special browsers like BrainSurf. So, it will gives us larger text more than the normal browsers. And Brock Stokes is also some speech output. Uh, Interactions also embedded, and EIAD is also there are some common rich features like simplified languages, touch screen, those things are provided. So some of the special browsers, right? So that's the end of the unit 1, and we are moving to the next unit, conceptual interaction. So when we are doing interaction design, we have to consider more about the UX design, and we have to understand how the user perform action. Then according to that, we are going to design the interaction, right? So this interaction design is a subset of UXD. Interaction design is a subset of user experience design. That is just only subset. So we have to follow this method or the process. It means discover first. You have to identify the problem, insight into problem, and define. It means area to focus upon. So you have to define which area you are focusing. Then develop that potential solution and deliver that solution to the work. Right. So when we talk about conceptualizing interactions, so you have to be very clear about underlying assumptions, claims, because if you just develop based on the assumptions, you maybe you are going to be failed. So you have to be very clear about the assumptions you are made. So for example, if you think just the young generation is really compatible with the technology and really open in the Facebooks and social media. So that is assumption you are doing. So just look whether they are really are. All of are just like that. And sometimes you may have assumptions like old age people cannot use smartphones and they don't nothing about the technology. But if you there are some people, even they are old age, but sometimes they can move with the move very forward with the technology. So making assumptions must be very clear about the scenario, and understanding these assumptions is very important. Right. And when we talk about the concept, the model, conceptual model, what is a model actually? Model is abstract representation of the real entity. So maybe if we are going to develop a house, we can model it before we are developing the actual house. Right. So this is a model of the plane. So that is not the actual plane, but model of the plane. So that is in we call abstract representation of the something we are going to build it. So why we are using models? Just to get some idea. Then metaphors. Metaphor is a mapping process from familiar object to an unfamiliar object. That is a mapping process from familiar object to unfamiliar object. For example, that family object is dustbin. So in normally, if we are having some wasted things, we are just putting it into dustbin. So that is family object. From our childhood, we have used to put some wasting things into dustbin. Then that unfamiliar object comes, that is computer. So if there are unnecessary documents or anything, if you delete it, it goes to what? Recycle bin. Dustbin and recycle bin. So from the dustbin, it has mapped to unfamiliar object to recycle bin. So these are some metaphors. The the symbols you are using in metaphors. So in dustbin is just the recycle bin is just like that. So then we at once, even that is unfamiliar to us, we might feel that is the thing that put unnecessary things, right? So these metaphors, even this kind of clip, right? So it means attaching something. So this one is used in emails to attach something. So like that, metaphors we are using to convey our message. And other popular examples are also there. Book metaphors are there, filing cabinets are there, just to some store some documentations, office metaphors, traffic metaphors. According to the scenarios, there are different kind of metaphors. Then if we take about interaction types, these are the types that we are going to interact: instructing, conversing, manipulating, exploring, responding. Right. Under instructing, so these are the things. So user issues instructions to the computer, issuing instruction to the computer. It may be typing and selective some options, touch, right, speaking. So these are giving some instruction. And conversing is users have a dialogue with the system. Conversion. So we are converting with the device and manipulating. Users interact with the objects, maybe virtually, maybe physically. So it means using physical controllers, gestures, some physical actions, interacting with the, manipulating with the device, and exploring. Exploring means user move through a virtual environment or a physical space. It is just kind of exploring some things. More than to manipulate, exploring is interacting with it in deeper sense, more than manipulating. Then responding, system that initiate a request for a user and respond to that. So if we search something, that device is giving some kind of response to us. Every time when we expect something, when user send a request, it will respond according to the request. Right. Next, we are moving to the third unit: cognitive, social, and emotional aspects of the designing. Cognition is very interesting word. Cognition means mental process relating to acquisition, storage, manipulation, and also retrieval of information. Our brain is capable of all of these things: acquisition, understanding something, and storage it, manipulate, doing some process, retrieval information. So that is the thing that you are doing in examination as well. Retrieval information. You are learning facts and keeping it in storage. After that, when it goes to examination hall, you are retrieving that information. So that is the thing. Right. In cognition, there are two main cognition types: experiential cognition and the reflective cognition. So, experiential cognition is a state of mind where people perceive, act, and react to events around them intuitively, right? It means, for example, if you drive your car, if you read a book, if you listen to this lecture, even you are doing it intuitively. It means with mindfulness, you are doing that simply, right? Reflective means involves mental effort, attention, judgment, and decision making, which can lead to new ideas. So it is not just only experiential, but you are that is more than experiential. You are leading it to new ideas, even it means designing, learning, writing report. You are listening to this lecture. That is experiential, but reflective means after listening this, you are uh, uh, making your own mind map. You are making your own short notes, or maybe like that. You are organizing a facts according to your own aspects and learning something. So even after the examination, you are interesting about UX. So those things you are learning uh, more than that, and using that basic concepts, you are come up with a new idea, come up with a research idea. So that is called reflective cognition, not just learning. So when it comes to cognitive aspects, there are so many aspects: attention, perception, memory, learning. So everything is related to cognitive process. Shall we take some of the things to understand? So attention means focus on. So even in this lecture, I'm asking you to keep attention. So it means you are not just listening. So you are attentively understanding that. So it means people focus on specific environment. You are specifically focused on something we call attention. That is one cognitive aspect. And perception. It means how information is acquired from the apart from the environment via five senses of the organs. So you know how you get to know some things like that. It means with your five senses, you see from your eyes, you can hear from your ears. How you acquired something from the outer, from the external environment, how you get that. So in the tasty food, you feel that tasty and like that, right? So with your eyes, as you are taking inside to your mentality, to you are taking some image. So that is perception, getting senses, and get using senses, getting some information, acquire some information from your external environment. So that is perception. Memory, so that is the something that we are really worrying about, isn't it? Even in the examination, sometimes in Sri Lankan examination there must have some kind of memory, even because even formulas you have to remember, right? So that is also kind of memory. And sometimes this memory is sometimes if you have a bad memory, you can't erase it in the brain like that. So memory is something very special. But do you know, people are better at recognizing things than recalling things. Memory is just like me recalling things. Sometimes it is uh, for example, recalling means just like understand. So you are just trying to recall something. Some maybe in examination you can't remember, means you can't recall in that. But if you recognize something, for example, if you see something that is relevant to that theoretical concept, then you remember it. Then quickly to our mind it comes. What I was remembering quickly comes to the mind. So that there is a better example than that. So recalling means you are just imagine that you are in your room and just recalling about your school friends, those things. Sometimes you can't remember some of them now. Sometimes maybe you are remember like that. But recognition is just you are, we'll say you are visiting to some place, maybe restaurant or something like that, and you see that your one of all friend is there. So that means recognize, this is the friend that with me in my childhood. That is recognize. So seeing something and identifying that I have seen this person before, I have experienced this before, that is called recognizing. Recalling means without any clues, without any items or anything, you are going to review those things. You are going to remember in those things is called recalling. So actually recognizing things is easier than recalling things as human beings. So some kind of information is easier to recognize than others. That is the next thing. Sometimes even you see something, even there are maybe we'll say some of the many persons are there, but someone you can't remember, maybe in your uh, 4 3 years back, that person has just accidentally meet in a bus or like that. Now you can't recognize it even after you see after few years, but some persons can recognize easily. So that is depends on the information how you get and how it attached to your mind and brain. So that is depends, right? So that is the thing that I say, recognizing someone's person's face like that. Right. And one another important thing is impossible to remember everything. So we in our computer, just like not the computer, in our human brain, not like the computer. It will be filtering process. Automatically there is a filtering process in our mind. So that is why not all the information going to be stored. But there is another doubt like this. Maybe some things are said like actually we are storing everything, but the problem is recording. So that is also another part of the HCI. However, according to our manual, we will say that it is impossible to remember each and everything. It will goes with the filtering process, right? And learning. So learning is really interesting thing that human beings can be do. Maybe you are boring about the learning fact so much, but it's how much interesting thing, right? So normally computers, robots cannot learn, but we can learn. So that is really important thing. And learning is also not just getting the diploma, not just getting the degree, PhD, MSc, no. But there are two types of learning, incidental learning and also intentional learning. Incidental learning means occurs without any intention to learn. You are not going to learn like that, but you are learning some things that sometimes we call informal learning, like that incidental learning. Using some once you just we'll say you are traveling without anyone, you are going to travel, and sometimes you will miss roads, and sometimes you are um bypassing roads, and sometimes you are not going to the expected destination, but after that you are learning streets, objects, those things. So even a small child going to learn some incidental learnings. So it not a proper formal education, but doing some things that the things that happens and with experience going to learn. So that is called incidental learning. Intentional learning means you have a goal to pass the examination, to learn a foreign language. So that is a goal and target and doing kind of learning. So that is two types of learning. And also another cognitive is skill, reading, speaking, listening. So those are the main things that any person can do if that person is not disabled. So there are things to using these skills. There are applications to support them. Interactive books are there, speech recognized systems are there, right? Natural language interfaces, those things are the applications related to this scenario. And another good important cognitive skill is problem solving, planning, reasoning, and decision making, right? These are process involve reflective cognition. It means thinking about what to do, then available options, consequences. So these things also some important qualities, problem solving qualities, planning, reasoning, why you did so. So the reasoning and decision making, why you use that decision to this scenario. So those things are cognitive skills. And there are some cognitive frameworks also. So frameworks means in order to help to us to do it in a better and easy manner. So there are some cognitive frameworks. So these are the some of the examples: mental models, the process of the gulf of execution and evaluation, information processing, distributed recognition, external cognition, and embodied interactions. We'll take one by one. Mental model. What is meant by a mental model? Used by when needing a reason about the technology. It means the more someone learns about the product and how it functions, the more their mental model develops. So that is the uh, some fact. So mental model means normally we all have some kind of mental model. When we take a lift, evaluator. So we have a kind of mental, this kind of thing I'm expecting as a lead. So that is not entire different. There is designing is different, but already we have a mental image inside our mind. So what it can be. So if we use that, so if you can remember at the very first time where you have used lift, right? The very first time the you if you use ATM, CDM, but if you use it again and again, even your smartphone, even the first day that you use that, right? Uh, it is not much familiar, but if you use and use again and again, if more someone learns about product and how it functions, the more their mental model develops. So how to function that, so learning those things, your mental model will be developed, right? So this is about the normal mental model. And mental model and the conceptual model. Mental model represent person's thought process for how something works, and conceptual model is actual model and gives how that works. So if there is a gap between, then it will be a problem. It means mental model means how you expect it to be there, and conceptual model means actually what is it. For example, you are going to operate a lift and you are in the upper floor. We'll say you want to go to ground floor. So normally in a lift, ground floor button is in the bottom, right? But in this lift, this was in the upper part. So your mental model is one thing, and this conceptual model is something different than that. So that means that interface is not good enough. So normally we must understand people's mental model before developing something, right? And so that is the thing that I have to say. So you have to bring in the mental model to the conceptual model, right? So there are some facts as well. So you can go through these things, right? Next, I'm going to goals of execution and evaluation. Goals of execution and evaluation. Goals means the gap. So sometimes there can be some gap. It means describe the distance of the user with the physical system. So gulf evaluation is the distance from the physical system to the user. So this is the diagram that can easily understand the user and the world. So gulf of execution means how do I use this system? Gulf of evaluation is what's the current system state actually, what the current system is saying. So that is also relevant to related to the concept that we have already talked. So that is the definitions may ask maybe what is gulf of execution and the evaluation, right? Also again, it's better if you can go through these definitions, right? Then information processing. Our mind is also just like a processor. There is some kind of processing mechanism. So first one it is maybe just if you listen something is not going as it is in your mind. Sometimes you are encoding just like a process of encoding. The way you get will be different, right? And you are sometimes comparing it. So just if you heard something from someone and sometimes you are comparing it with the same scenarios with other person, and response selection, so you have to select the response. So if you have personal experience the same situations, the same wordings, but we response selection is different from person to person. If you that person is really a favorable person to you, even that person blame to you, you select some smooth response, and after that response is execute. And if that person is not very good people in your heart, so just you are also maybe blame out, that is your output for that person. So that is how that happens. We compare with other people, and the way we take it is different from people by people. So that is why that human process model occurs, right? Then distributed cognition. Distributed approach was developed to study the nature of cognitive phenomena across individual artifacts, internal, external representations, right? How it differ from these things. For example, so always you have to consider about the external factors. That is why we call distributed cognition. So, for example, this is one example that we can get: cognitive system in an airline. So there are pilots, captain, right, air traffic controller. So and thinking about the interactions with the environment. So there is the sky, right? So then you have to think about the environment and distributed manner with the artifacts. Those things we call distributed cognition. And the external cognition is concerned with explain the cognitive process involved when we interact with different external representations, such as graphical images, multimedia, virtual reality, external factors, how we behave with the virtual reality, how we behave with the multimedia, how we behave this, how these users behave with graphical images. So those things comes under external cognition. If we take the benefits of the external cognition, it will reduce our memory load because some of the part we can hand over to the external virtual reality things like that. And computation offloading will also one of the benefit, and annotating those cognitive tracing. So these are the some of the benefits just we have listed down. And so this is some more explanations of this. What is this by? So so I will explain this one. So this is somewhat different, some new term. Annotating and cognitive tracing. Annotating involves explanation or modification of external representations, giving some kind of explanation. Actually, what this happened, right? Cognitive tracing is manipulation of external representation to form new information. That cognitive tracing is using that existing information. If you're forming a new idea, that is called cognitive tracing, right? So Google is using external cognitions. So it is using their own calendars, those things, right? It means it is reduce the memory load. Google Drive, calendars, those drive capabilities are there. Then it will reduce memory load. Computational overloading will be reduced. So this is how Google use these cognitions, external cognitions. Right. Then embodied interaction. Embodied interaction are the interaction technology, and the world is conceiving of its embodied. For example, wearable technology, haptic technology, tangible user interfaces are some of the examples of embodied interaction. So to get more idea about this, we'll take one by one. So wearable technology, you already know. Wearable means you can wear some things like a smart watch, those things, right? So here within these slides, in the next slides, we are going to talk about these things. So what is mean by wearable, and also haptic devices, and the tangible user interfaces. We are going to learn about that in the next session, in the next lesson. So I will not going to explain each of that. So we'll going to explain that here in the next few slides. So right before then that, we are again talking about some of the other interactions, social interactions, how people behave with others, how people behave with news changes about the other people, opinions, those things, and remote conversations. Yeah, we have to consider about if we are developing user interfaces, how that remote conversation happened. It means that person are not co-located with the telephone calls, emails, video conferencing, how those people are interact. And the co-presence, the conversation, it means the opposite of that. So physical, in the same physical place, how those people are interact and how this user interface will be used there. And the emotional interactions. Emotional interactions, emotions, happy, whether we are happy, sad, annoyed, and anxiousness, frustrated, how are we going to convey it? So those things we have to understand when we are doing user experience design. So when we comes to the emotional emotions, so you have to think about more about the colors, right? How those people are interact, and the emojis of that that we are going to use, metaphors you are going to use, those things. Right. Then affective computing. It is another term. Affective means, so computing devices actually, if it is in today's world, it has affected to our lifestyle as well. So there is some imagine technology how we can feed the feelings to the computing. If it is so, how much affect that we can, that our human life will be, whether positive or negative. So there are some cases as like that emerging technologies. There are how that feeling sad, happy, any interactions with the human being, even the sexual feelings. Sometimes in the robots, they have projects like that. So they are using those feelings and try to affect the computer more than normal process, and it is just going to be some emotional AI. So you can see emotional AI seek automate measurements and feelings and behavior, facial expressions, the actions, those things. So we call affective computing. So this is the highest way of the user experience and the user interfaces, right? And persuasive technologies. Persuasive means user's attention is grabbing. It means motivating us to some things. So we are going to just view the website, but pop-up ads comes and says, okay, today 50% off, only today. So then we motivate to get that. And there are some warning messages, sometimes prompt messages and personalized messages. From the personalized messages, we have attention also captured. So if that comes with our own name and we visit a website, there is a personal messages for ourselves. So this is about you, like that. Uh, so our attention grabbing, using attention grabbing techniques we call persuasive technologies. Right, that's the end of the unit 3, and we are moving to the unit 4, the last segment of this workshop, part 1, interfaces focused in user experience design. So there are interfaces three types, mainly command line, GUI, three-dimensional interfaces. Command line means, no, already you know, commands are printed uh, on the screen, and commands and sentences are only, and using those things we are happening we are conducting the interaction with the computer. And GUI, it stands for graphical user interface, the way now we are experienced mostly. So it means using images, metaphors, and the icons, windows, using those things, graphics, using graphics, if we interact with the screen, so we call graphical user interface. So in the graphical user interface, there are main four things: WIMP, WIMP. In a graphical user interface, there are windows, icons, menus, and pointers. So these are the main components of the GUI. So we call widgets or the elements of the WIMP. So these are the things. So there are three widgets also: appearance, interaction, and semantics. In WIMP, WIMP interfaces, it means Windows icons and menus pointers interface. There are three widgets: appearance, what they look like; interaction, how they behave; semantics, what they mean. Semantics means the wording, the rest of the wording, those things. Semantics. So there are three aspects. What are they? Appearance, interaction, semantics. So that those things are important, right? And the three-dimensional interfaces are there also. It means we are using uh, highlighting, visual affordance, and discriminating use of confusing. So these technologies are merged with immersive environment, like using virtual realities, highlighting factors, visual affordance. So using these things and uh, improve our interface is called not just only one dimensional, but it is adding more things is called three-dimensional interfaces. And the icons of the WIMP and GUI. Icons are these things, so you can even see in your computer, in your phone as well. There are so many icons: PC icon, recycle bin icon, right, folder icon, image icons, PDF icon. So there are, and the pointers. The next one, WI. I stands for pointers, mouse pointers. So that mouse pointer also became changed with the actions, right? When you are going to fill handle, that mouse pointer will be just like plasma, right? And also, if there is a link, a hyperlink, that mouse pointer will be just like a hand, right? Like that pointer. And the point and click interfaces are there. Sometimes you can point to something and also clicking direction, that is a direct interaction. And WIM, M stands for menus. So you can see there are so many menus. Even in the Word application, we can see there are menus like that. So there are three types of menus basically: pull down menu, drop down menu, hold down menu. Pull down menu is mouse hold and drag the menu. So there are some applications like that. Hold and drag, that is called pull down. Drop down means normally that we experience mostly drop down menus. Even normal websites, when you just click on that mouse click, just a click reveals the rest of the menu. And the fall down menu, just moves over, but just moves and just review. Just we are not going to click, just moving the mouse is enough. So those things, right? And apart from this, there are pop-up menus, pie menus also, right? Uh, Also, there are some cascading menus. It means menu selection opens new menu. So if you select, so under that main menu, there are different categories. According to the main menu, that menu will be changed. So that is called cascading menus. And these are some scrolling menus. You can see scroll from up to down, and walk-in menus are there, right? And hierarchical menus, one menu inside another menu, hierarchical manner. So what are the advantages of having the menus? So these things you can even just write your answers just by thinking in your mind as well. So these menus actually very little training needed to user. Normally menu can handle to any even the noise, even the new users as well. Easy to use that, and the user does not need to remember anything like type anything. Don't it doesn't want to remember. Even when you are doing some word application, if even that you are creating some word application or like that, you are not remembering, just you click on the menu and it will reveal what options that you can take. But there are some disadvantages as well, because some switch screens access menus is difficult. Sometimes even in our mobile phone that is not, sometimes it is difficult to have a menu according to the device, right? And sometimes some issues maybe with response time, display rate. Sometimes hierarchical menus will take much more time, right? Those things will be the disadvantages of the menu, right? So now, in the modern trend, WYMP comes like ribbons and dialog boxes like this. So in word applications, once you click home, there will be one menu, and the same user interface will be refreshed once you click insert, right? So that we are using ribbons now. In nowadays, ribbons, buttons, toolbars, we call these things actually toolbars, and the dialog boxes. Each of that when we are going to change the font, the dialog box, the font dialog box will open like that. Dialog boxes we can see, and the behavior actions. So you can see some metaphors to start program, background sound. Those things are also controlled with the behavior options like this. And semantics also playing important thing. What is mean by semantic? Semantic means the text actually, the strings it has right about the all the semantics means the wording simply. Right, and we are going to talk about virtual reality. What is mean by virtual reality? VR is the use of computer technology to create a simulated environment. Actually, that environment is not here, but we are simultaneous environment, right? That is called virtual reality. For example, in there are some games with VR. When we are when we wear some kind of glass or something wearable component, then we can see some things that is simulated environment. Actually, there are no such environment, but we can see that as a simulated environment. Dinosaurs will come, right? And like that. So that is not actual environment, but we can see some reality, just like we feel reality, but it is not. It is just a virtual reality, not actually happens, but it is fully simulated with the real environment. And augmented reality. Augmented reality is three-dimensional virtual images appear imposed over real objects. That is the difference between that. It means there are real objects. We will say uh, there is a cupboard. That inside the cupboard there are real objects. We will say your clothes are there, some of the pictures are there, mugs and those things are there. With your augmented reality window screen, once you focus that cupboard without opening that cupboard, it will say what are the things inside the cupboard like that. And you once you click on those things, okay, I will wear these things today, and I want this watch inside the cupboard. Likewise, that is actually combination of the reality and also virtual world. So that is some things that happens over the real objects, in the real objects. Using real objects, something happen also the in virtual world. So that is called augmented reality. And apart from that, if we talk about some interface types, web interface that you can see with your browser, Mozilla Firefox, those things, and the mobile interface, it means the simply your handphone mobile screens. Right. So in mobile interfaces, there are some things that we are focusing about. It means it will adjust with your mobile device, and also that interface will be adjusted according to your mobile interface. So normally mobile interface is something different than the web interfaces all the time. Uh, so how you scroll down is also different. So providing good mobile interfaces means responsive design must be there. And embedded interfaces. Embedded means that is for example, so applications, sometimes at once we can't see that is actually interface even. So if you take your washing machine in the home, washing machine. So washing machine is embedded interface. It means there are some applications inside that. Software components also inside that. So that is at once we feel not like just as a computer as well, but it is also just like that. Washing machines, microwave, refrigerators. There are some interfaces that is we can't directly see, but some embedded thing is there. So that is called embedded interfaces. And VUI, it stands for voice user interface. Using the user's voice, it means just talking and it will shows what are the relevant things according to that. So sometimes there are some sound system even just we are issuing voice commands, it will display the relevant things like that. And pen based devices using installers pen, you can give the communication to that device. And touch screens, single touch screens, maybe they are just like ATMs, right? Those things. And multi-touch screens also there. It means you can do many things. Fingerprint options also there, sweeping. So just like mobile phone, so sometimes we are zooming it on out. So that is one way of touching. And sometimes we are just click on just put our finger and put, take out like that. So we are interacting touch, but not the same touch we are doing, giving that different types of those things, but with the same device. We call that multi-touch circles. And gesture-based interfaces that involve moving arms, hands, communicate or provide information to someone using arms and hands. Just only we are focusing we'll try something with arms and detecting that pattern, and it will be writing in automatically like that. So that is gesture-based interfaces. And the haptic interfaces, the thing that I said, I will describe it in that the previous slide. I said that I will describe this in the later slides. So this is called haptic interfaces. Haptic provide tactical feedback. It means, for example, applying vibrations, some forces to the person using accumulator that are embedded. So there are some things like even the smartphones, smartwatches doing this, right, in a basic manner. So it will give in some vibrations or the some physical, just like we feel it in physically with that phone. So that is called haptic interfaces. And multimodal interfaces, not just only one model, it will give touch screen, haptic interfaces, gesture interactions, all are in the one interface, all are in the one environment. We call that is multimodal interfaces. And there are some shareable, tangible interfaces. It means designed to work with more people, not just only one people. It is using maybe the computer games, maybe some investigations. So that is we are using tangible interfaces that can involve more people. And wearable interfaces. So wearable means we can wear that those things like we can wear on the body, smartwatches, right? Fashion techs and smart glasses. So those things we call wearable interfaces. And brain computer interfaces. Brain computer interfaces stands for BCI. This is also emerging field. Some emerging field that provide a communication pathway between a person's brain wave and external device. Right? So brain-computer interfaces provide a communication pathway between a person's brain waves and an external device. It is just like provide some kind of communication. It is very special between the brain and the external device, right? So that is also uh, just like a wearable device, but more than that, that is capturing brain waves. That is why we call BCI. And the natural interfaces. These user interfaces allow people to interact with the computer in the same way that they interact with the physical world. In the same way, if they touch someone, if they talk with the natural languages, that the same way, even we can't feel that a computer we are interacting. Just like that. Naturally, we can do the communication. It's called natural interfaces. Right. So that's the end of the first part of the uh, user experience design subject. So we have covered 50% of the subject. From the next recording, you will be covered the rest of the things.